After that speech, when he was asked various questions, even after delegating, he would always end by still adding to whatever anyone spoke. But I think it was really very irritating and somewhat way very funny to hear backlash of people saying that he shouldn't have delegated to his team. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a team player. Nigeria do not want a one-man show.
Deceive ourselves. What I saw at Chatham House was a joke. It felt like a scene from Ghanaian comedian Shatta Bundle. It's a big joke. Let's not deceive ourselves. We want a good country and want people to state it. Ayo, I get your point about delegation. What nonsensical delegation? When have you seen Rishi Sunak call people to come and answer questions for him when he's debating the opposition leader at the Prime Minister's question time?
What happened today, what it tells us is that we are going to have a presidency that will look like a headmaster that has tutored his pupils, and then he calls on one of them, yeah, it's you, I taught you this or say that, and then he sits back. That's not presidential system of government. That is more or less like a king who is going to operate, and then there will be a lot of infighting in Aso Rock, a lot of trading of influences, and saying this is what the president said and this is what the president didn't say. So we are going to most likely be governed by unelected people. So we're probably going to elect him as president if that happens. But the way he has performed today in Chatham House simply shows that the man is going to operate government by delegation to persons we didn't elect.
Was that Tinubu addresses the world on the economy, security, and foreign policy, when in actual fact, Tinubu moved big personalities from Nigeria. He came and joined up with APC members in London and then a few lobbyists in that building. And that is why this morning, I'm in London here, not a single British tabloid covered or carried any news relating to the Chatham House. And you can juxtapose that with February 18th, 2015 Chatham House interventions that APC came when Muhammadu Buhari told the world that if APC was voted into power, the world will have no reason to worry about Nigeria in respect of security, economy, and fighting corruption. So the meeting of yesterday turned out to be a self-indicting eulogy, where you report yourself to the very venue where you came and gave false promise.
So guys, as reaction trails Tinubu's outing in Chatham House, how he delegated people to answer his questions for him, the APC woman leader has come out to defend everything Tinubu did in Chatham House. She has come out to tell the world that Tinubu went there to showcase himself as a team builder, and that was why he allowed his team to answer his questions for him. So guys, what do you think about this? Did we all not watch the American presidential campaign? They even debated in their own party before a candidate finally emerged. In Nigeria, our political parties do not even try to engage their candidate. They just use dollar to buy. Then a candidate will emerge. Don't forget, this is one of the things that made P2B to leave the PDP. Because of the dollar politics they were playing. I tell you, APC keep deceiving Nigerians. And my question is, when are we going to wake up? Nigerians, when are we going to wake up? APC is saying that they did the right thing by not allowing Tinubu to answer questions that were directly thrown at him, questions he was meant to answer. As a contestant, allowing others to answer his questions for him. So please, I want you to watch these reactions and let me know what you think in the comment section. Please, if you're an obedient out there, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Do me a favor, turn on the notification bell so that each time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Give this video a like so that YouTube can suggest it to others. And let me know what you think in the comment section below. Thank you.
Is teamship. Unbreakable team. To demonstrate that, I will choose the first question, assign it to Dele Alake.
Okay.
And the second question, assign to Nasiru El-Rufai.
Security has been a big issue in Nigeria in the last few years, and that has affected not only rural economies, but agricultural production, commerce, and everything else.
However, sir, you are running for president, and as Nigerians, we would very much like to hear from you, because we believe the office of the president, if voted in, will be you and not your team per se. So on that note, sir, if I may, we haven't seen you engage with Nigerians on a one-to-one interview or at any of the live programs that has been going on. And furthermore, there are issues at the moment running with regards to your identity, with regards to your age. So I wonder if you could provide some clarity on the issues of your identity and age, and also let us know when we can engage with you one-on-one in an interview, hear from you directly as the office holder. Thank you.
Asked from the audience, but he didn't reply to many of them. He got proxies in the audience, potential members of his new cabinet if he wins the election, to give the answer. So many ways, it was an extraordinary event yesterday.
All right. Now, what's come up from a number of people, the debate online, and from people who watched his lecture and the question and answer session, is that it was quite unusual for someone who was meant to be speaking to the people, as you just mentioned, to delegate responses, at least majority of his responses, to his surrogates who were present there. Is this a usual or an unusual occurrence? Because for the sake of argument, what he said is that it is in the spirit of, in his words, teamship, or perhaps it's team spirit. Is that normal, or is that showing that he's willing, he's a team player, and he's a man as a leader, because leadership is not, by one person, that he's able and willing to delegate to others? Is that normal?
Well, that's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is he's scared of putting his foot in it and giving the wrong answer that might come and bite him on the bum later, so he can blame someone else for saying the wrong thing. I've never seen it. It wasn't a press conference. It was a Chatham House event to which the press were invited, as well as his supporters. And I've never seen that before. There were some other serious points that I did pick up at the event that haven't really been mentioned so far. Worth running through some of the points that he made.
Not deceive ourselves. What I saw at Chatham House was a joke. It felt like a scene from Ghanaian comedian Chatham. It's a big joke. Let's not deceive ourselves. We want a good country and want people to state it. Ayo, I get your point about delegation. What nonsensical delegation? When have you seen Rishi Sunak call people to come and answer questions for him when he's debating the opposition leader at the Prime Minister's question time? Out of the 16 hostings, or over 30 hostings they had, when did you see Rishi Sunak call another person to come and speak for him when he's supposed to address the people? It's time for us to call a spade in this country. That was a disgrace on Nigeria as a country, that a presidential candidate went to Chatham House, where he's supposed to espouse his idea, and he's calling people to answer questions that were asked from him. Can't you see the way that journalist had to ask him, sir, is this how you're going to be calling people to answer questions for you, when you are supposed to be the one speaking yourself? He called Nasir El-Rufai to speak on security. Has Nasir El-Rufai been able to sort out this problem of insecurity in Kaduna State?
Kaduna State.
Eh?
It was a bad call.
Has he been able to sort out his problem of insecurity?
If there was an army general retired in that gathering,
he called somebody to come and speak for him as regards economy. Has the APC government not prevailed over an economy that has gone downward the drain? They promised over 27 million jobs. They can't give it. Third quarter 2020 now. We've not seen unemployment numbers. I dare the MBS to release statistics for unemployment numbers as we speak. I feel ashamed as a Nigerian. I've got nothing against any presidential candidate, but I am a Nigerian, and when a Nigerian presidential candidate should go and make us proud at a public gathering abroad, they should also remember that people like us are Nigerians. And anything they say about Nigerians overseas, it robs us on our image.
Well, Rufai.
Section 5 of the 1999 Constitution allows the Nigerian president to delegate authority because the powers of that executive branch is concentrated in the person of the president. But as Rufai said, people should not, did you say chicken and egg or something?
Counting their chicken before they are out.
People should not count their chicken
I said that.
before they are out. So when a man wants to lead, he's coming for an exam. People want to assess you.
Yes.
My friend, you do the questions yourself. If you ask other people to come and ask, that is called cheating.
Cheating.
The invigilators will be wondering whether you know what you are putting yourself into. And the buck stops.
Have other people not gone to this Chatham house and answered questions themselves?
So an ideal situation.
All of the drama that was put up by all these handlers. I saw one jumping up like a barrister in the criminal defense saying that he ought not to answer a question concerning diaspora voting. When Tinubu himself struggled to find his way to answer that question, it turned out his answer was superb. He said, well, if you bring in so much remittances to Nigeria, you ought to exercise voting rights. So they should have allowed Tinubu to be himself, no matter how he carried on. That's who he is, and Nigerians should see him for that. Unfortunately, the idea of delegation of answers turned out not to be the best, not to be very presidential. Even though I must acknowledge that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a real frontliner. So what happened today? What it tells us is that we are going to have a presidency that will look like a headmaster that has tutored his pupils, and then he calls on one of them, I taught you this, say this or say that, and then he sits back. That's not presidential system of government. That is more or less like a king who is going to operate, and then there will be a lot of infighting in Aso Rock, a lot of trading of influences, and saying this is what the president said and this is what the president didn't say. So we are going to most likely be governed by unelected people. So we're probably going to elect him as president if that happens. But the way he has performed today in Chatham House simply shows that the man is going to operate government by delegation to persons we didn't elect.
After that speech, when he was asked various questions, even after delegating, he would always end by still adding to whatever anyone spoke. But I think it was really very irritating and somewhat very funny to hear backlash of people saying that he shouldn't have delegated to his team. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a team player. Nigeria do not want a one-man show. Nigeria is a country with over 200 million persons. It's beyond one man. He needs to put together a formidable team to be able to run government and deliver to people the dividends of democracy. And that's what he has always done. Lagos State's plan that we have all come to see and love and appreciate, and today we can say it's either the 5th or the 3rd largest economy in Africa, was actually put together by a team, not just one man. He's just a leader, the leader of the team that puts together the right people that would help in governance. But more importantly, I want us to check out from the president of the United States to the UK, name it. All of them, when they go to meetings, they go with their teams and they can delegate, and then whatever it is that the team has probably not said enough, they add on top of it. And that's exactly what Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu did that day. On every single question, he also made his own input in addition to what his team members said. But that ability to trust people, to delegate, to see it beyond a one-man's show, but a team fixing Nigeria, I think that was highly commendable, and Nigerians should indeed be glad they have a leader coming forward that can delegate and trust people to run the government alongside himself with the right leadership and the right mentoring.
And Dr. Edu, I think the quality of the team and the size and their backgrounds, it is quite commendable. Just like you said, we're watching and we're seeing that Tinubu is engaging himself with individuals who are more versed in certain aspects of the economy and healthcare, et cetera, than he is. But I do want to to mention that the political affairs analyst who actually chaired Tinubu's Chatham House appearance, he was the one that came out to make statements that it was quite different. I know Nigerians are commenting about it as well, but he himself said that it was his first time in his career that he had seen a situation where the presidential candidate aspirant, who normally should be selling himself to the country and internationally, is instead choosing to distribute simple questions to people sat in the audience on his behalf. And he said it was absurd, very absurd, and a red flag. But I just wanted to mention that because it seemed as though that the backlash was one-sided, and more people have other things to say about the way that interview was conducted. But I don't want to flog that dead horse. Of course, there are some positives. You yourself, you are here for the national.
For Nigerians.
You are one of the youngest female representatives in government. We know that you are now the national women's leader. So could you talk to us about what the APC's, what exactly does your role entail? What is it that you're trying to communicate to Nigerians about the way that the APC will be organizing and fielding the talents of women in the coming years, and also how you plan to leave your mark in this role as someone who is part of the youth?
I think, first of all, my key role is to see that we get more women involved in politics. I know you are very well vested with the fact that the Nigerian woman traditionally has not really played a huge role. I would want to say we've played less than a 40% role in representation as it concerns politics in Nigeria. And it's high time that we have that numbers. Of course, it's important for my office to be able to get women interested in politics, get them to see the reason why they must get involved to contribute their own quota to nation development, why they should be at the front burner of building a nation like Nigeria. And this is what we've been doing over the last 7 months since I got into office as the APC National Women Leader. Some very critical changes have happened, and we're glad that we're beginning to see the results. But I know as we go forward, we'll get better results by the day. The first of it was the fact that we were able to have a legislative change, a constitutional change in the party, where we have more women as delegates at the grassroots level, compulsorily. So it's not optional for you to have 5 people all being males. No, you must have 2 females out of every 5 and 1 female out of every 3, compulsory, and that's the minimum. So we could have all 5 or we could have all 3 females if the case be. And this is what has taken us into the primaries that have seen more women emerge in elective positions. Before this time out, in the last couple of years, we've had probably about, I think the first one was 31 females that were on the ballot box for our party. At another point, it was about 23 females across the country that were on the ballot box for our party. First, we were able to give forms out free of charge just to get more persons interested and get more persons linked into the entire political space, which women turned out in their numbers, and they went through the primaries process, having more women as delegates, more women emerged. Today, we can boast of close to 95 women running across the entire country on our own ticket as APC. No other party in Nigeria can boast of that, I make bold to say. Beyond this, we're not just looking at only becoming candidates, but we want them to emerge as real office holders. That way, at the National Assembly, they can be able to push for bills and support gender-sensitive bills, ensuring that women are given the right place in the whole sphere of politics. Beyond this, right, we have been able to work with our presidential candidates and indeed the party manifesto to see that more women are accommodated in appointments as the new government comes into being. So we are also asking for the 35 35% information, which has been promised by Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu that he would do even beyond 35. 35% is the minimum, both in the Federal Executive Council, in board appointments, employment opportunities across, welfare programs and interventions would directly target women and vulnerables. This is his commitment as our presidential candidate. He's done it before in Lagos, where he ran with a female for the first time. It was new to the entire system, and it has become the trend over time. He did it when he appointed the first female head of service in Lagos State. He did it when he appointed the head of the legislation in Lagos State as a female. He was the one who was very instrumental to that happening. So this is a trend. And of course, you know his wife. She's a 3 times sitting senator. This is not just about saying it should be me and me all the time. No, he's projected women. He's worked for them. He's worked with them. And he understands the role they bring to the table. He understands the value they bring to the table. And is ready, very ready to harness this going forward. So for us in APC, we are all about mainstreaming the women and ensuring that we are the front burner of governance, front burner of leadership, front burner of implementation of policies, front burner as it concerns direct interventions at the grassroots.
All right. Now, when we think about women in integration and involvement in Nigerian politics, we know that one of the challenges, one of the biggest hindrances is intimidation, violence throughout the campaign period and from the grassroots. Now, one document that has been put together to try and dissuade this from happening and make sure it doesn't happen is the Peace Accord. One of the tenets of the Peace Accord is, of course, to ensure peaceful, free and fair elections. However, your principal is yet to sign the Peace Accord, and this is 70 days after other candidates have signed it. We understand he sent his vice, but the National Peace Commission have said that this is not a document that can be signed by vice presidential candidates. Presidential candidates themselves need to come and sign and acknowledge that they respect the tenets of the Peace Accord. When will Bola Tinubu be signing the Peace Accord?
Well, of course, I'm sure you know very well that on the day the Peace Accord was signed, the vice presidential candidate was present, and indeed the entire party system, including the chairman of the party, were all present at that event, and they all took part in the signing. To say the presidential candidate of our party must come in person, that's not a big deal, and I'm sure he's happy to sign it any day, anytime. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, like we all know, is a man of peace. Is a man who is rather ready to think and work rather than fight or struggle. He's one person who is a very, very peaceful person and will follow peace. He stands for a peaceful election. He stands for a violence-free election. He stands for a credible election. And we are very confident that INEC and indeed everyone who is involved in the Peace Accord can get that signed as soon as possible. And Nigerians can know that we're fully behind peace for the 2023 general elections.
Okay, because the National Peace Committee have come out to say that they have been expecting him and they've been waiting for him to come and do that, but he has not shown up yet. So we're wondering, if this is such a high priority, why has this still not happened 70 days after, he had traveled, but it's been 70 days and he's been back in the country since then?
So he wasn't around in the country, like you very well noted, while this was going on. Of course, he had other engagements which were already fixed before this came up, and that's why he sent in representations. Of course, he'll be back into the country very soon. And like I said, it's really absolutely no big deal. He's happy to sign a peace accord any day, anytime. Nigeria needs peace, and he would always stand for peace, security, and indeed an end to electoral violence. Violence can never in any way help our country. And we, as a party, APC, our presidential candidate, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, will never, in the least of ways, encourage violence.
Well, we look forward to his signing the Peace Accord. I'm sure there will be many reminders from now going forward. But I want to talk about this 35% affirmative action that you mentioned earlier, but your principal, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is seen as an innovator, especially with the way that he is championing women, as you said, and you're the national women's leader. On his ticket, though, I'm sure a lot of people would have preferred to have seen a female vice presidential candidate rather than another Muslim on the ticket. But that's an aside. The 35% affirmative action, what steps exactly will be taken by the APC government